as it did yesterday, but the National Hurricane Center says there's still the potential for a large loss of life when Wilma hits land. That's now expected sometime Sunday, a day later than previously thought.
It certainly doesn't look as powerful as it did yesterday, but believe me, this is still a very, very powerful hurricane. Don't minimize this just because it's no longer a Category 5.
Still a Category 4 right now and might be upgraded to a Category 5 once again. That's what they're saying. And we'll hear more, the latest information from Max Mayfield, the director of the National Hurricane Center. That's coming up later this hour. Meantime, Florida residents are starting to take precautions, but mandatory evacuations for the Florida Keys have been put off until tomorrow. Evacuations have been ordered in Cuba and Mexico as Wilma is closing in. Let's go to CNN's hurricane headquarters. Our severe weather expert, Chad Myers, with the latest information. Chad?
Wolf, it appears that the storm may have turned to the right just a few degrees in the past probably 3 to 4 hours. I won't bore you really with what's going on. It was moving to the west-northwest. Now it appears that it's come off that line a little bit and possibly made that anticipated right-hand turn or even a jump to the north. Now this could only be a slight wobble, and in a couple hours, if it turns back to the left, we'll know that it was just a wobble. What I have dialed up here for you is Cancun's radar. Big squalls coming right here on the way to Cozumel, on up to Cancun, and right on down all the way through Playa Car. You can now see the eye of the storm from the Cancun radar. From our radar down in Key West, you can see rain showers there. You can see rain showers over Havana, the Pinar del Rio area, and also some stronger storms across South Florida already. Back to you, Wolf.
All right, Chad, thanks very much. We're going to get back with you shortly. And once again, this hour, we'll be hearing the latest forecast from Max Mayfield at the National Hurricane Center. Stand by for that. In the meantime, let's turn to some other stories we're following. In Texas specifically, indicted Congressman Tom DeLay's face is now a mugshot. The former House Majority Leader responded to a warrant for his arrest and turned himself into authorities today. CNN's Sean Calebs is joining us now live from Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office in Richmond, Texas, with the latest. How did it go, Sean?
Well, really a very eventful day. Some extraordinary measures here really unfolded today. We know that Tom DeLay was indicted on 2 counts, conspiracy and money laundering. Well, his attorney, very powerful Texas attorney named Dick DeGuerin, had made an agreement with the sheriff here in Fort Bend County to show up here today to have his mugshot taken and to also have DeLay's fingerprints taken. So a gaggle of media had been out here since the pre-dawn hours, but we got word from the sheriff here, Milton Wright, just about an hour and a half ago that indeed DeLay did have his mugshot taken. He did have each of the pads of his fingers in ink fingerprinted, but it didn't happen here. It happened in Harris County, which is where Houston is. Now, why did it happen in there? Well, under Texas law, when a state arrest warrant is issued, the defendant can go to any courthouse in the state. He could have gone to El Paso, Lubbock, Brownsville, anywhere and had this done. He went to Harris County, which is near where his attorney's office is, and he did this without the glaring eye of the media, seeing this powerful lawmaker walk into the courthouse to have his mugshot taken. Still, just a short while ago, DeGuerin talked to the media, and clearly he's quite upset with what he considers partisan politics that led to all this.
The mugshot, so he could put it out to Congressman DeLay's political opponents, and he's got what he wanted. There's no reason for this. It was pure retaliation on the part of Ronnie Earl because we have not let him up. We've exposed his prosecution for what it is. There he is. Take a good look at it.
Kind of loud out there where he was speaking. Ronnie Earl, the prosecutor he is talking about, is based in Austin, and Earl has been investigating this case for some time. Charges were made before Earl brought his information before 2 grand juries. The grand juries returned those indictments. Now, DeGuerin says that today was simply a walk in the park for his candidate, and we know DeGuerin, as well as Tom DeLay, will be in the Austin courtroom at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty much a procedural matter there, Wolf. They will go before the judge, and basically DeLay at that time has the opportunity to declare who his attorney will be, but also something that could turn out very important here. the judge could also rule on a couple of motions that the defense counsel has before the judge, including one very important one, to toss the whole case out. DeGuerin maintains that this is just politically motivated. There's really nothing to all of these allegations. Wolf?
Sean Caleb's reporting for us from Texas. Thanks, Sean, very much. Even before his indictment, Congressman DeLay was a political lightning rod. Let's find out how the American public sees him now. Our senior political analyst, Bill Schneider, is standing by with new poll numbers just coming into CNN. Bill?
Well, the image of Tom DeLay has been getting worse all year, going back to the Terry Schiavo case in March. Right now, 18% of Americans say they have a favorable opinion of Mr. DeLay, 45% unfavorable. That's more than 2-to-1 negative, with 37% who have no opinion at all. Now, that 2-to-1 negative is actually more negative than the public's view of former House Speaker Newt Gingrich when he resigned from office in November 1998. How does DeLay stand in his own party? Republicans are divided. About a third say they have a favorable opinion of the former majority leader, a third say they have an unfavorable opinion, and a third of Republicans have no opinion at all. Wolf?
All right, Bill Schneider, thanks very much. And we're going to get some more poll numbers for you from this latest CNN USA Today Gallup poll. That's coming up later this hour. President Bush, meanwhile, offered yet another defense of his embattled Supreme Court nominee, Harriet Miers, earlier today. He promised Miers will answer all the questions asked of her. But some senators of both parties are complaining she hasn't done that so far. Our congressional correspondent, Ed Henry, has more on that. And new word on Miers' views on abortion. Ed?
That's right, Wolf. One day after top senators in both parties declared that questionnaire Harriet Miers filed to the Senate Judiciary Committee will need a do-over, she's back on Capitol Hill today. In just about an hour, she's going to go behind closed doors, try to round up support with a key swing voter, moderate Democrat Ken Salazar of Colorado. But it was earlier today when she went behind closed doors with Democratic Senator Herb Kohl, a member of the Judiciary Committee, where she really did not clear up her position on abortion, maybe added a little more confusion. Just a few days after there were White House allies circulating that 1989 questionnaire where she checked off the box saying, when she was running for the city council in Dallas, that she supported a constitutional ban on abortion. Conservatives suggested maybe she was anti-abortion. Senator Kohl said he raised that during his private meeting, and Harriet Miers suggested maybe not.
In terms of trying to get at where she might be on Roe versus Wade, you know, she made the point that was at a different time for a different purpose, that we should not read too much into that in terms of where she might be on the issue of privacy and a woman's right to choose.
Now, at the White House, as you mentioned, much the same message from President Bush, where he told reporters that Harriet Miers will get this questionnaire finished to the satisfaction of senators in both parties, and that in the end, she'll answer the doubters.
Harriet will answer all the questions asked. But out of this will come a clear picture of a competent, strong, capable woman who shares the same judicial philosophy that I share.
But today, Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein said that this nomination is, quote, facing an uphill road all the way. She said turning over documents from Harriet Miers' time as White House counsel, something the White House does not want to do, could help that nomination fight, though. Wolf.
And switching gears dramatically on that Powerball lottery last night. We know there was one winner of the $340 million, but there were a lot of other winners for a lot less, but still some significant sums, including one United States senator.
That's right. Very interesting. In fact, Senate Budget Chairman Judd Gregg, he oversees trillions of dollars in the federal budget, also a wealthy man himself. He was one of 47 winners who got 5 out of 6 winning numbers correct. Today, he picked up an $850,000 check. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Do you feel rich?
Well, I feel very lucky and fortunate, that's for sure.
What are you going to do with the money?
Whatever my wife tells me to do.
Smart man.
Are you a regular player, or you just try to...
I just play very occasionally, and so I feel extraordinarily.
Where do you live?
New Hampshire.
Now, Senator Gregg's Democratic counterpart on the Budget Committee, Kent Conrad, joked to me that given the size of the soaring federal budget deficit, we'll take all the money. I have severe doubts, though, that Senator Gregg will turn it over to the federal government. Well,
all right, Judd Gregg, a big winner in the Powerball, $1,000. Ed, thanks very much. Harriet Miers and Tom DeLay are both hot topics online. Let's check in with our internet reporter, Jackie Schechter. Jackie?
Well, Wolf, while Harriet Miers works on the redo of her own questionnaire, Progress for America, a conservative 527, has a questionnaire of its own online, trying to get people more comfortable with Harriet Miers. You can do this yourself. For example, which Supreme Court nominee was a liberal activist in college? You check the box, and you click here for your answer, and it's correct. It's Clarence Thomas. Then you go on to the next question. This goes all the way through. Which Supreme Court nominee worked in a president's administration? I'll give you the right answer in the interest of time. Click on it. There it goes. Well, it'll come up. Anyway, it's all of the above. It's a little wonky sometimes. But another thing we wanted to show you online, of course, is in relation to Tom DeLay. And the SmokingGun.com now has the arrest warrant up if you want to take a closer look at that yourself. They have got his mugshot, and if you can't get enough of that mugshot, there's also the Public Campaign of Action Fund online where you can pre-order your T-shirt. Those are going for $15. So not only getting his big mugshot online, you can also wear it around if you'd like. Wolf?
Maybe you'll get a coffee mug out of it, too, at some point. Some smart entrepreneur out there. Thanks very much.
Mugshot. There you
Jackie,
go.
thank you. As if the Miers and DeLay controversies weren't enough, there's that CIA leak investigation hanging over the Bush White House. President Bush insisted today that he's not being distracted despite new information about a conversation between two top administration aides. Our White House correspondent Dana Bash standing by in the North Lawn with details. Dana?
Well, on that CIA leak, well, if you remember, we already knew that Karl Rove discussed with both columnist Robert Novak and Time Magazine's Matt Cooper the issue of Valerie Plame working at the CIA. Now we do have new information, perhaps, of how he came to know about that at all. And all of this is swirling around a White House, trying very hard to focus on what they can control. In the Rose Garden to talk Mideast peace, the president insisted he's not distracted by the slew of political problems coming at him at once.
There's some background noise here. A lot of chatter, a lot of speculation and opining. But the American people expect me to do my job, and I'm going to.
The biggest question is the special prosecutor investigating who leaked the classified identity of Valerie Plame about to indict anyone at the White House. New information about what top Bush aide Karl Rove told the grand jury added to the drama. Rove may have first learned Plame worked for the CIA from Cheney Chief of Staff Scooter Libby during a discussion about what they were hearing from reporters. According to an informed source sympathetic to Rove, that discussion took place before her name appeared in this column by Robert Novak, which outed Plame's covert identity. This further puts into question past White House statements neither Rove nor Libby had anything to do with the matter.
I spoke with those individuals, as I pointed out, and those individuals assured me they were not involved in this.
Rove's attorney insists he did not leak classified information, but experts warn Rove's account is just his perspective.
What the prosecutor is looking at are not exculpatory statements that Karl Rove may have given when he testified 4 times before the grand jury, but he's looking at other evidence that comes from other witnesses or other documentation.
And over 2 years, special counsel Patrick Fitzgerald has called dozens of witnesses from the White House to the CIA. But the public might never get a full accounting. Department of Justice guidelines do not call for a final report in such cases. And Attorney General Alberto Gonzales, who recused himself from any involvement, would not answer when asked by CNN if such a report is in the public interest.
I don't want to be viewed in any way of influencing one way or the other.
You know, there are so many unanswered legal questions here, Wolf, but one of the most intriguing might be a political one, and that is, why are people close to Rove putting out his perspective, and Libby's side has really gone stone silent here?
All right, good question. I don't know the answer. Dana, thank you very much. Then again, we don't know a lot about the specifics, but presumably in the coming days we will. Let's check back with Jack Cafferty. He's in New York watching all of this and smirking. Was that a smirk, Jack?
No, not at all. I was just listening to Dana Bash's report. Didn't President Bush one time say that he would fire anyone in his administration that was associated with leaking Valerie Plame's name?
Let's ask Dana to clarify that. Dana?
He did. What he said, I believe, I don't have the quote in front of me, obviously, is that he would, anybody in his administration who was involved in leaking classified information would not be in his administration anymore. Yeah. That is what he said a couple of years ago. I believe it was 2 years ago, in 2003.
How's that working out?
Well, if you ask the White House, they'll say nobody has been indicted and nobody certainly has been convicted of doing that right now. So, you know, the big difference and the big issue here is the difference between legal culpability and what they may have been doing in terms of a political strategy. And that is certainly what Patrick Fitzgerald is trying to find out, and they're certainly waiting here at the White House with bated breath to find out, too.
Yeah, we all are. Thanks, Dana. All right, back to the Harriet Miers thing for a minute. Skimpy, insufficient, and incomplete to insulting. Those are quotes from Democratic and Republican senators talking about Harriet Miers' answers on her judicial questionnaire for her nomination to the Supreme Court. Now she's being asked to resubmit parts of this thing. That's humiliating, isn't it? I mean, if you don't properly fill out the application, you're probably going to have trouble getting the job, been my experience. Some Republicans want to vote on her confirmation by Thanksgiving. My guess is that ain't going to happen. First, she has to get the questionnaire right, and apparently that's going to take a little time. Then she has to go through those hearings, which may get higher TV ratings than the final episode of Dallas. I just can't wait for those hearings. And then if she survives those, there'll be a vote on her confirmation. So here's the question. How big a problem is it that Harriet Miers has to redo this questionnaire? You can email us at CaffertyFile@CNN.com, and we'll read some of your thoughts in a half hour or so. Wolf?
All right, Jack, thanks very much. We'll get back to you soon. Coming up, watching Wilma. Will this powerful storm do Katrina-like damage in Florida? We're waiting to hear from the National Hurricane Center Director, Max Mayfield. We'll bring you his updated forecast live. That's coming up. Also ahead, the military mission in Afghanistan, and a report very disturbing that U.S. soldiers burned the bodies of suspected Taliban fighters. NATO's Supreme Allied Commander, General James Jones, he's standing by to join us live here in the Situation Room with an update. And later, the Bush administration under fire, as we see on several fronts. Has Vice President Cheney taken a political hit? More from our new poll, new numbers, that's coming up.
Welcome. The rules in Finlandistan, Albanistan are quite unique. I hope you had a chance to review them.
It's tennis. How different can it be?
It's not easy being out of your element, especially when it comes to insurance and investing. Genworth Financial and your financial professional can help you understand your choices and then make the right ones, so you'll be ready for whatever the future throws your way.
Let's check you out.
There it is again! Want to refinance your mortgage and cash out equity? Get a $395 flat fee home loan from Ditech.com.
Bust another one to Ditech.
Call 1-800-71-FIXED.
At BASF, we don't make the car. We make it more colorful. We don't make a lot of the products you buy. We make a lot of the products you buy better. BASF, the chemical company.
American Morning. Real news makes the difference. Soledad O'Brien and Miles O'Brien. American Morning. CNN tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern.
Building a classic machine. Stitching the Stars and Stripes. These are just a few of the jobs held by proud American craftsmen. So join me as I ramble around this great country of ours, talking to the people who put their hearts every day into a little label called Made in America.
John Ratzenberger's Made in America, Tuesdays at 9 on the Travel Channel.
Come discover the Clark County Fall RV Show, October 20th through 23rd at the new Exhibition Center at the Clark County Fairgrounds.
There is a new battle raging where the enemy is time, where every second can lead to triumph or heartbreak. NBA League Pass presents the Early Bird. Don't miss a minute of live NBA action. Follow your favorite teams even if you're in one city and they're in another. It's the Early Bird offer. The time is now.
NBA League Pass is just $169. Call 1-888-COMCAST. Comcast Digital Cable. Don't miss a minute of live NBA action.
When the
Weather is the news. Trust CNN. It's essential.
Welcome back. Iraq and Afghanistan still critical battlegrounds for the United States military and for NATO forces as well. NATO's Supreme Allied Commander in Europe, General James Jones, is joining us here in the Situation Room on a visit to Washington. Thanks very much, General, for joining us.
Good to be here, Wolf. Thanks.
These pictures are so disturbing, the desecration, if you will, the burning of these bodies, supposedly Taliban fighters in Afghanistan, and American troops sort of standing around watching. You know it's going to be used for propaganda against American and NATO forces operating in Afghanistan right now. About 12,000 NATO forces in Afghanistan, 18,000 American troops overall. How do you deal with the backlash that's presumably going to develop?
Well, I think on anything that gives the enemy a chance to stimulate the passions of the masses and rally their fighters is concerning. But I associate myself with General Abizaid, who's going to run a complete investigation, in the words of the Defense Department on this. Obviously, this is breaking news. We'll have to see where it takes us, but we have to guard our troops against the backlash of these kinds of announcements.
Supposedly, this Australian journalist who was embedded with the American troops and filmed this that was going on, it seems to suggest that there's one rule for regular soldiers, if you will, but a sort of second rule for the Special Operations Forces. They basically can do whatever they want. Have you ever heard anything like that in your practical on-the-ground experience?
No, absolutely not. There's one uniform code of military justice, and it affects all of us in uniform, regardless of our military occupational skills or whatever we do. It's very clear. So I'm quite convinced that this will be thoroughly investigated, and those who might have to be held accountable will be held accountable.
You're beefing up the NATO presence in Afghanistan, right?
We are expanding the NATO mission. The NATO, as an alliance, is getting ready in the not-too-distant future to take over the southern part of the country, which means that NATO will have roughly three-quarters of the country under its mission envelope.
And presumably that will free up American troops, strictly American troops, to go and do other things. Is that designed to allow American troops to focus more on the hunt for Osama bin Laden?
No, not so much. It means that as NATO expands its operation, the coalition forces will also be subsumed by that operation, and we will have, for the sake of unity of command, unity of effort, one NATO command on the ground as we buy up more real estate. Eventually we'll move to the east where the Americans are located, U.S. forces, and then back to the capital region where France and Turkey have volunteered to be the dominant countries and the lead nations.
How much of a priority is it to find bin Laden?
Well, I think it's a high priority, obviously for a lot of reasons, some of which are symbolic. The truth of the matter is, in Afghanistan today, is the number one problem on the ground is narcotics. It's not Al-Qaeda, and it's not any particular fear of a resurgence of the Taliban. Violence in Afghanistan is disparate. It's not cohesive. It comes from multiple groups. And I think we need to understand that as we proceed on into the future.
Let me read to you from a quote from October 7th. The U.S. defense official said this: "There are more than 40 nations supporting the effort in Afghanistan. Many of the nations have caveats on how their forces may be used. This makes it unnecessarily complicated for commanders." You're the overall commander. Is that a fair quote?
Well, it's fair to say that excessive numbers of national restrictions on forces that are provided to the alliance are to be avoided. We work very hard to make sure that on mission specifics that we have the capacity to do our job. I believe that this problem is being addressed, and I think over time it'll be less and less. So I think we have the capacity. I think we have the will, and we have the nations that are stepping up to the task, and that's very encouraging.
In Afghanistan, NATO forces are warriors. They're actually on the front lines doing what military personnel do. In Iraq, on the other hand, they're trainers. They're training the Iraqi military. Listen to what Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice said yesterday before Congress.
You have a NATO training mission for leadership for the armed forces inside of Iraq. Time and time again, people are coming now to support for Iraq. We need more help from the international community, but we have made significant progress.
You have to deal with the French, the Germans, the Belgians, all the Europeans on a day-to-day basis. Do you get a sense they're ready now to become more militarily involved in Iraq as they are in Afghanistan?
Well, the truth of the matter is all 26 nations of the alliance are involved in Iraq in some manner. The NATO mission has three components to it. Training inside Iraq, where roughly half the nations participate. Training outside of Iraq, where other nations who won't train in Iraq do participate. And also being a clearinghouse for the equipment that the Iraqi army needs. For example, we have about 77 Hungarian T-72 tanks that will be donated from Hungary to the new Iraqi army that, as we speak, are on their way to Iraq. And so NATO is involved in those three levels, and all 26 nations are making a contribution. But NATO's level of ambition is what it is. That's the extent of it thus far.
Well, General, thanks for stopping by the Situation Room on your visit to Washington. Good luck with NATO. Let's hope that NATO personnel and NATO equipment are not needed to help with Hurricane Wilma as they were used with Hurricane Katrina. Pretty remarkable that NATO was involved in the Katrina
and we just started another relief effort in Pakistan under the NATO Response Force, which is exciting as well.
Well, thanks very much, General.
Thank you, sir.
Still ahead, much more in our top story, and that's Hurricane Wilma. We expect an update from the National Hurricane Center this hour. We'll bring it to you live. Plus, the battle for Congress. Are Americans ready for a change on Capitol Hill? We have brand new poll numbers that may surprise you. Stay with us.
My doctor said my type 2 diabetes was out of control. That high blood sugar increased my risk of serious complications. He said I better diet, exercise, take my medicine. Yeah. I heard it all before. Well, maybe I should have listened.
Every year, up to 24,000 people lose their eyesight to diabetes. Even more at risk for stroke, heart attack, and limb loss. If you have high blood sugar, get help. Call or visit diabetes.com.
When you meet the men and women who serve America in the military and in the government, you find the strength and character of this nation. You find courage, commitment, and the enduring belief that the best thing of all is what matters most: freedom.
Yeah. How you like your shoes?
I love them.
Shoes are good, huh? Everyone's wearing them. Who makes those shoes?
Well, Avante.
Excuse me. Do you think I could use your computer for a quick second?
Okay. At Ameritrade, we understand traders. That's why we give you the tools to spot, analyze, and seize the market's many possibilities.
Thank you.
Ameritrade, where internet equity trades are $10.99. Join now and get up to 35 free trades and $100 cash.
Great shoes, huh?
Yeah. Go to Ameritrade.com/spot or call 877-447-8330.
Is that a new sports drink?
Welcome back to the Situation Room. Our top story this hour, Hurricane Wilma. Right now, it's closing in on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The Category 4 storm's packing winds of 145 miles an hour. Wilma's forecast to steer toward a possible Florida landfall, perhaps late Sunday, maybe moving into Monday. We're watching this very closely. We expect an update from the National Hurricane Center this hour, and of course, CNN will provide live coverage. Meanwhile, our Zane Vergie is joining us once again from the CNN Center in Atlanta with a closer look at other stories making news. Zane?
Wolf Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld's pressing for China to be more open about its nuclear capability. On the last day of his visit to China, Rumsfeld noted that China's expanding its missile arsenal, but says that the country's military spending lacks transparency. Rumsfeld traveled from China to Seoul in South Korea. Now he'll be attending a meeting tomorrow with defense officials there. Thailand reports a 48-year-old man has died of bird flu. His death is the 13th from the disease since the outbreak began in 2003. It's Thailand's first bird flu death, though, this year. The man entered the hospital 11 days after cooking and eating a chicken. His 7-year-old son is showing flu-like symptoms but has not tested positive for bird flu. The boy is hospitalized in Bangkok. The House of Representatives voted today in favor of a measure protecting the firearms industry against massive crime victim lawsuits. The vote was 283 to 144 on the bill to dismiss half a dozen pending lawsuits by local governments against the industry. The Senate passed the bill 3 months ago. President Bush has said he'll sign it. Wolf?
Zane, as far as the bird flu situation is concerned, I understand the European Union has taken some additional steps to deal with this potentially huge problem. What are you picking up?
Yeah, what they did today is they discussed a number of measures, and they're immediately implementing these. No live birds in any markets at all. They don't want anyone to have poultry exhibitions without permission. They also want to keep wild flocks of bird away from poultry feeds in general. And they also said that, look, there's going to be no more importing of pet birds or feathers from a number of regions in Russia, at least for the next 6 months.
Zane, we'll get back to you soon. Thanks very much, Zane Verjee. Up next, his name's been brought up in the CIA leak investigation, but is that hurting his standing with the American public? We have new poll numbers out on the Vice President, Dick Cheney. We'll share those numbers with you. Plus, President Bush is on his way to California, but he's not meeting with Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. Is there some bad blood between these two top Republicans? Stay with us.
Just cold. My sinuses feel like they're going to explode.
Sudafed PE.
My allergies have my sinuses all stuffed up.
Sudafed PE.
Now tell them where you feel the pressure.
Here. Sudafed PE.
Sinus misery? Get Sudafed PE. Maximum strength relief of even your worst sinus symptoms without a prescription.
I'm so congested.
Sudafed PE.
Sudafed PE. Maximum strength sinus relief. And for a sinus headache, try new Sudafed PE sinus headache.
Eat steak, eat a big old steer. Eat steak, we have one deer. Beef, it's a mighty good food. It's a great meal, and I'm in the mood. Eat steak, eat a big old steer.
A research culture dedicated to finding investment opportunities others miss. Van Kampen Investments. Shine.
Are those voodoo dolls?
Mm-hmm. This one's overages, and I call this one roaming.
You know, with Sprint's fair and flexible plans, there are no huge overages or roaming charges, so you're in control.
So they worked. Now I'm gonna make one for loneliness.
Sprint's new fair and flexible plans with no huge overages or roaming charges. You control your plan. It doesn't control you. Plans start at just $29.99 a month. Sprint. Yes, you can.
I know you. You're sitting there with rheumatoid arthritis. This is one of your good days, right? And you're gonna wait. Till when? Till you can't turn on a light? A piece of advice about waiting? Don't. Not when there's Humira. Talk with a rheumatologist today. Humira doesn't just help stop the pain and stiffness, it can even slow the progress of RA. Because just sitting there, your joints could be deteriorating, and when they're gone, they're gone.
Some people with heart failure should not take Humira. Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, so tell your doctor right away if you have ever had tuberculosis, or are prone to infection, or if you get an infection. Do not start Humira if you have an infection such as an open sore or the flu. There have been rare reports of serious and sometimes fatal infections and tuberculosis. Blood disorders, nervous system disorders, serious allergic reactions, and lymphoma have occurred.
Do it. Talk with a rheumatologist about Humira.
Our top story this hour, Hurricane Wilma. It's about 160 miles off Cozumel, Mexico right now. It's a Category 4 storm, but still powerful and potentially deadly. It's expected to hit Florida sometime Sunday, a day later than previously thought, because the storm has slowed down a little bit. We're waiting for an update from the National Hurricane Center. We plan to bring it to you live. That's coming up very soon. This week, In the CIA leak investigation, the spotlight on the Vice President, Dick Cheney, has intensified. We have new poll numbers on Americans' views of Cheney. Let's bring back our senior political analyst, Bill Schneider. Bill?
Well, Wolf, opinion of the Vice President is actually mixed, tilting negative. 43% have a favorable opinion of Dick Cheney, 47% unfavorable. That is the lowest rating we've ever seen for the Vice President.
Political opinions of Congress.
Yeah. Well, right now, it appears that all these troubles are hurting both Congress and opinion of the Republican Party, the majority in Congress. Right now, 40% of Americans express a favorable opinion of the Republican Party, and the Democrats, 52% favorable. Historically, that's a big gap. The last time the Republican Party had a rating that low was when Congress impeached President Clinton at the end of 1998. We also asked, would the country be better off if Republicans or Democrats controlled Congress? Democrats have a 13-point edge. When is the last time Republicans were at such a low point? When Congress impeached President Clinton. Wolf?
Interesting. All right, Bill, thanks very much. We're going to continue to check out the other numbers in our new CNN USA Today poll as well. Meanwhile, a political duel and a new duo on our political radar this Thursday. When President Bush appears at a Republican fundraiser in California tonight, the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, will be conspicuously absent. In a published interview today, Schwarzenegger suggests he's ticked off that the president is raising cash at the same time he's soliciting money to back his November ballot initiatives. The New York mayoral candidate, Fernando Ferrer, is rolling out a big gun today. Fellow Democrat Bill Clinton. The former president is campaigning for the Democratic candidate at a time when Republican incumbent Michael Bloomberg holds a huge lead in the polls less than 3 weeks before the mayoral election. Legislation is heading to the president's desk that ends Medicare and Medicaid subsidies for users of Viagra and other impotence drugs. The Senate gave final approval to the measure yesterday to help offset the cost of providing unemployment aid to states hit by Hurricane Katrina. Coming up, much more on our top story, at least one of our top stories, Tom DeLay and his legal troubles. Should Republicans in Congress back the former House leader, or should they cut him loose? We'll get some expert opinion. Paul Begala, Tory Clark standing by. Plus, the CIA leak in the White House. What's the potential fallout? Today's strategy session. That's just ahead.
'72 Open at Pebble Beach. I stood at the 17th, 219 yards into the wind. I hit one of the best one irons I've ever hit in my life. Hit the pin, dropped down within a couple inches. It was a shot I knew I had to make, and I did.
Like Jack Nicklaus, the Royal Bank of Scotland Group know it's never good enough just to talk a good game. You have to play a good game. Make it happen.
What do you know about computers?
My daughter definitely knows how to use a computer better than I do half the time, and she's 3.5.
Hi, I'm John Scher, CEO and founder of Video Professor. You know, I've been hearing comments like that for over 14 years now. Listen to this.
I did the Excel, and it was a lot of fun. I had a real good time. I learned a lot.
The difference? Just an hour with one of my CDs, and they're easy to use. The CD plays like a video on your computer screen. Just follow the step-by-step instruction. If you call now, I'll send you one free. You just pay a small shipping and handling. Now, the reason I'll do this is because I know that once you try my product, you'll come back to us for all your computer learning needs. You know, if you can't learn, I'll even refund your shipping and handling. So, learn a new skill in less than an hour. Try my product.
I think that's the most fun I've had learning something about the computer.
To get your free computer learning CD, you must call now. Call 1-800-454-9709.
Any man who protects communists is not fit to wear that uniform.
In a nation terrorized by its own government.
The next show is going to be about Senator McCarthy.
6 extraordinary Americans.
Let's walk very carefully through these next few moments. Why don't you just fire me, Bill?
Dared to tell the truth. David Strathairn, Patricia Clarkson, George Clooney, Jeff Daniels, Robert Downey Jr., Frank Langella.
We cannot defend freedom abroad by deserting it at home. Good night and good luck.
Rated PG. Now playing select cities.
Strategy Session is sponsored by Warner Independent Pictures. Good night and good luck.
Who are the people? Are they elected? Are they appointed? Is it you?
In theaters now.
President Bush may publicly shrug off criticism of his Supreme Court nominee Harriet Miers, but could the administration be really worried behind closed doors? Let's talk about that and more, including the mugshot of Representative Tom DeLay made during his arrest earlier today in Texas. Joining us, our CNN political analyst Paul Begala. He's a Democratic strategist. Victoria Clark, former Pentagon spokeswoman during this Bush administration. Guys, thanks very much. Just want to alert our viewers also, we're standing by for Max Mayfield, the Hurricane Center director, with the latest information on Hurricane Wilma. We'll go there live as soon as he starts talking.
Bumped again because of storms.
You're not going to get bumped yet.
Max Mayfield is great, though. I love him.
I love Max Mayfield as well. Let's talk a little bit about the CIA leak. We heard the president today describe this as background chatter. He's focused. He's doing his job. But you've been in a White House where there has been so-called background chatter, and you know what it's like.
Sure. When I worked for President Clinton, he was ensnared in the Monica Lewinsky scandal, and you were covering us. He would walk out to that Rose Garden and say to you, well, Mr. Blitzer, I'm just focused on my job. Then he'd go back there in the Oval Office and rip my head off being so upset and distracted by the Lewinsky scandal. I suspect that's what's happening. I mean, it is good for the president to say that he's focused, but if you look at the stumbles, the Myers thing and not being handled very well, other problems the president's got, he's clearly distracted by this, and it's understandable. This is a major problem for him.
And Tori, the President Clinton had this problem, because I was a White House correspondent then. President Bush has it. Here he's meeting with the president of the Palestinian Authority in the Rose Garden, talking about Israeli-Palestinian peace and the prospects, and American reporters are asking about the CIA leak or the Harriet Miers nomination. It can be pretty embarrassing.
No, I think it's extraordinarily frustrating. Things like meeting with a Palestinian leader are extraordinarily important, and your colleagues should be focused on them to the greatest extent possible. I think it's enormously frustrating. I do think this administration is pretty good at compartmentalizing. Terrible word, but it's true. Okay, we've got to do what we can to deal with the Rove affair, the CIA leak affair. We're going to do our best on Harriet Miers. I still think that's going to turn out okay. And then we just got to have a certain level of frustration here.
Here's, I think, the problem.
You used to compartmentalize all the time in the
We
Clinton
did,
White House.
and we got very good at it. But part of what President Clinton did, look, he called me back for his second term. I was home in Texas, having a good time. He called me back to work, and when he asked me to work in the White House, he said, I need some people around here who I know. Look at the president in his second term. Karen Hughes, his very close aide, is at the State Department. Condoleezza Rice is at the State Department. Al Gonzalez is at the Justice Department. Margaret Spellings is at the Education Department. Mary Madeline is home with their two girls. All of his closest advisors are gone, and he's home alone except for Karl Rove, who's in front of the grand jury. And that kind of leaves him alone. His best and brightest are now dispersed across the government. I think that's part of
it says something about.
But listen, I want to respond to that.
I want to respond to this because it says something about the president and what he's trying to get done. He wants the best people in the most important places across the government. He doesn't want to be piggish about it, quite honestly, and keep them close to him. That's an important
You need some help
factor.
at home. I'm not volunteering, Mr. President. I have a job, but you need some help.
Vin Weber is a former U.S. congressman. He's a Republican, a good Republican. He was quoted in the Financial Times as saying, Karl Rove is working the agenda hard right now, reaching out to a lot of people and asking what the president's agenda should be next year. Rove looms large in the minds of most Republicans. It would be a psychologically demoralizing and substantive loss if he were to go.
I disagree. I don't think any presidency, I think any administration has its complete ups and downs based on one person. Would it be a loss? I don't think we'll get there. It'd be somewhat of a loss, but there are lots of other strong players.
He's the architect.
No, it's not about one person. If it is about one person, it's about the President of the United States, not the people who work for him.
I think Tori's right. Charles de Gaulle said the graveyards are filled with indispensable men. The problem the president has is this plain CIA leak scandal could touch the vice president. It could touch the president. We now know that President Bush for 2 years has known that Rove had some sort of a role, maybe not criminal, but some sort of a role in this. The president never told us. Democrats are going to say cover up. Why didn't the president come forward and say, hey, one of my aides was involved in this, he may not have broken the law, but he didn't tell us that for 2 years. So the problem is not Rove, it's not Scooter Libby, the other staff members that Washington is talking about. The problem is what this does to the president and the vice president.
All right, let's talk about Tom DeLay. He's got his own legal problems right now. He got a mugshot today. He's been fingerprinted. Listen to what Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic, the minority leader in the House of Representatives, said earlier.
I think that the fact that Tom DeLay is still involved in leadership decisions on the Republican side, if that is so, is a reflection of the tolerance that the Republican conference has for the culture of corruption and cronyism.
You're laughing.
Well, she's got the Democratic talking points down cold.
If anyone should, the Democratic leader of the House should have those talking points down.
Exactly. Look, is this Tom DeLay's best day? Absolutely not. I can't imagine what is going through his head right now. But there is a little bit of innocent until proven guilty. Let's let the process unfold, see what happens. He has stepped down from his official leadership position.
All right, stand
Again,
by.
there are plenty of people who can step up to that role.
I told you Max Mayfield was going to be speaking with the latest information. Here he is. Let's listen.
Our wall is now starting to contract, so we really think that there's a good chance it'll go through another strengthening phase even before it gets close to the Yucatan Peninsula, and it could very well become a Category 5 hurricane again sometime on Friday. We also want to make note that this is a relatively large hurricane. The hurricane force winds extend out about 85 miles from the eye. The tropical storm force winds extend out about 200 miles away from the eye. It's currently moving toward the northwest at 6 miles per hour, and that means it's going to continue moving toward the Yucatan Peninsula at least for the next day or two. Now, if you look at our forecast track, we have it moving slowly towards the northwest, and even by Saturday afternoon, it's still near the northeast coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. After that, it should take off to the northeast, and we're going to talk about some of the different scenarios that could play out here. One thing that I do want to mention, we've been really focusing on the United States. I know there are other people taking this feed here. As a Category 4 or 5 hurricane, as it hits the Yucatan Peninsula, this has the potential to do catastrophic damage in that area. And we still have the hurricane warnings up for much of the Yucatan Peninsula, hurricane watches and tropical storm warnings up for the western portions of Cuba. Now, if I could, I promise to do this very quickly here. I'm just going to show you some of the different computer guidance models that we're looking at here at the National Hurricane Center. This is one of the Navy models. It's a 5-day forecast, and if you note here, in 5 days, this particular model has Wilma southeast of Cape Cod. If you look at another model here, this is the National Weather Service Global Forecast Model, and this particular model has Wilma forecast southeast of the Outer Banks of North Carolina in 5 days. And yet another one, this is our actual hurricane model within NOAA. It has a much slower, still near the lower Florida Keys in 5 days' time. So we really have options, from here all the way up to there, and that's more than the usual guidance more than the usual spread we like to look at. How do we deal with that? Well, the forecasters have done a good job of looking at different combinations of these models. The most likely scenario right now is to have this going very slowly over the Yucatan Peninsula, and again by Saturday afternoon, likely being located about right in here, and then by Sunday afternoon, likely off the northwest coast of Cuba, and then starting to accelerate out over the Florida Peninsula. No one can tell you with any certainty right now whether this hurricane will make landfall on the southwest Florida coast, near Marco Island, or over the Florida Keys, or up closer to Sarasota. We're still, 4 days or so away from that happening. So the good news here, a couple of pieces of good news. One, we have some additional time to make preparations, and two, the fact that it will likely linger over the Yucatan here and being involved with that landmass here for the next couple of days means that it should start to weaken by the time it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. It may well still be a Category 3 hurricane or a major hurricane near that northeastern coast of the Yucatan, but by then the upper level environment should become much less favorable for any intensification, in fact become unfavorable, and we'll likely see it continue to weaken some. But I don't want to overemphasize that, because even a Category 2 or a Category 1 hurricane hitting the Florida Keys or the southwest coast of Florida can have big consequences there. And with that, I'll pass this to Billy Wagner, the Emergency Management Director of the Florida Keys, to let Billy tell you what's going on down there.
Thank you, Max, and good afternoon. The Keys responding to a major hurricane. A major hurricane response requires a phased evacuation of the entire Keys. We have the general population on hold right now as far as the evacuation process. So far, we have a mandatory evacuation of all the non-residents, all the RV population in the Keys. The campgrounds have been closed. And one thing that we want to emphasize that everybody in the Keys pay very close attention to the timing of our evacuation orders in the future. It's critical that we coordinate this with adjacent counties, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, so we don't complicate any regional evacuation. We also are very concerned about the storm surge in the Keys, and that's life-threatening to our population. And the inundation of our highway system in the Upper Keys area during our evacuation process is critical, and we want to complete that evacuation in a timely manner.
Okay, we'll be glad to take a few questions if you have some.
Well, do you have any feeling on which of the models might be more correct, or is that still too early to predict?
The question is, which model do we have the most confidence in? And I always like to say that's a little bit like the stock market. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. We really don't know until after the fact which model will be the best. We have one model that, quite frankly, has been jumping back and forth from up in Maine, back down to Cuba, back to Maine, and back down over the Florida Keys. So there are some real inconsistencies there that are troubling, but all of the guidance suggests that eventually it's going to turn up towards the northeast and come over South Florida and the Keys. I will say we're doing everything we possibly can to make a good forecast, including flying the NOAA jet, not through the hurricane, but in the environment around the hurricane to sample the steering currents. We did that starting very early this morning, about 2 o'clock this morning, and all that data got into the models during the day. We'll continue to fly those back-to-back missions here as long as we can.
Max, why is it good news if it speeds up at one point going toward Florida?
Well, the faster it moves, the question was, what's the good news if it is accelerating as it moves across the state? If indeed it moves quickly across the state, the good news there is that we're not going to have as much time for it to dump a lot of rainfall, so the rainfall threat will be diminished. But having seen this last model run of that GFDL model, that one doesn't move as fast. So, we're not out of the woods on that yet. We're just going to have to wait and see how the steering current's set up. And we've got plenty of time to watch this now. There are no watches warnings up yet. And the thing to do now is just really closely monitor the progress of Hurricane Wilma. Yes, ma'am.
Broward and Miami-Dade counties, a lot of people are saying, well, we'd like to maybe evacuate, go somewhere. Could you please touch on that and talk about where people should be going?
Okay, that's a specific question on, I believe, Miami-Dade, Broward County, and the actions to take. And the important thing there is to listen to the advice of your local officials. And right after we send the advisory out, usually 15 minutes after the advisory goes out, we're talking to the county emergency managers and the state emergency operations center. So it's a very coordinated effort, and I can assure you that the officials in all the counties in the state know exactly what the forecast is and the uncertainties that we're dealing with. So it's going to take a little patience, kind of like Francis last year. We didn't think we'd ever get here, but people just need to keep their eye on this and be ready to take that action when told to do so by those local officials. Okay. The question was, any chance this could fall apart? There's nothing more I'd like to see than that. And, if it were to, actually stall over the Yucatan for an extended period, yes, it could weaken much more than we're even forecasting. But, I've shown you 3 of our better models here, and none of them really show that. They have it grazing the Yucatan. Hurricane's a heat engine. It gets its source of energy from the warm ocean. So you remove that source of energy and it will start to weaken. And as long as much of that circulation is over the Yucatan, we should start to see some weakening here in the next day or two. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Max Mayfield, the National Hurricane Center director, updating us with the latest information, the latest projections of where Hurricane Wilma is going. Let's digest what we have just heard. Chad Myers is joining us from the CNN Hurricane Center in Atlanta. Chad, what did you pick up? Give our viewers a sense of the enormity of this problem.
4 things I picked up, Wolf. Eye wall contracting. That means that the storm is bringing its arms in, so to speak. An ice skater with 1 foot on the ground, arms out going slowly, arms in going quickly. And if you bring the arms in, if your eye wall gets smaller and smaller, then your wind speeds go up. And so we think the wind speeds are up now to 150. The Hurricane Hunter plane is in the storm right now. It left Tampa. It's in the storm now. It found a wind gust at flight level where it's flying to 167 miles per hour. The models are far apart. One of the models that he was talking about, in fact, 126 hours from now, 5 1/4 days, still right here in the Florida Straits. That would be excruciating for the people in South Florida to have to sit there and wait for that storm for almost a week. I don't think that's going to happen. It has some forward speed. Doesn't sound like Max thinks that's going to happen either. It looks like landfall somewhere, probably Sunday, maybe even into the early day on Monday. And one thing I really got a chuckle out of, models are like a stock market. Past performance is no indication of the future.
I got a chuckle out of that as well. They may have great records in the past. Doesn't necessarily mean they're great down the road. Chad, stand by. We're going to get right back to you. Jackie Schechner is checking the situation online. What are you finding out, Jackie?
Well, we've been following those webcams. We took a look at Cancun yesterday. Just wanted to show you how some of those resorts were faring today, how the weather's getting progressively worse. This is the Club International in Cancun, the Royal Mayan in Cancun. Take a look, Royal Caribbean. It's just getting darker. You can see they've gotten everything battened down, ready to go. Some photos we also found online through Flickr.com, the group photo blog we often check out. These are from the Caymans, so this is basically what Cancun can look forward to. Here's another one. I'm just going to flip through this pretty quickly so you can see. Take a look at the waves and how high they are and how they're crashing on shore. You can see it gets kind of ominous and windy. These are all from Caymans right now. And then these are from Belize. This is the other set. They got some water and some wind in Belize. You can see the waves crashing from this shot. I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you can see the orange there, but that's actually an old gas station at the Yacht Club Pier. You can see how high those waves have come. So basically some photos just starting to show up online through group photo blogs. But we're going to keep an eye on those webcams because those are really a good gauge of how the weather is progressing. Wolf.
Thanks very much, Jackie. From Jackie to Jack. Jack, it's amazing, this new technology on these blogs and these internet, the pictures that we're seeing, live pictures from Cayman Islands and these waves coming in. It is pretty amazing, isn't it?
You know what we need for people like me, though, during those segments? It is amazing. We need somebody in the corner of the screen doing this stuff like they do for the hearing impaired that would translate what they're talking about with the blogs, with the webcams, with the, what did she call the picture collection there?
Something.
Yeah. But it is amazing. I'm not very technologically well versed. Senators on the Judiciary Committee are asking Harriet Miers to resubmit parts of the judicial questionnaire they asked her to fill out because they're not satisfied with the detail that she gave the first time around. So the question is this: how big a problem is it that Harriet Miers has to redo the questionnaire? John in Rohnert Park, California, will she get a redo critical Supreme Court decisions if she gets those wrong too? We've already seen the result of Bush's placement of a pal at FEMA. Now he wants his personal attorney as a Supreme Court judge. Danny in Naples writes, you have to wonder about a Supreme Court nominee who has to redo the questionnaire. How will she cope when she's called upon to write a majority opinion on serious and controversial issues that can affect Americans for years to come? It's certainly not very comforting. Sue in West Hartford, Connecticut, good grief, those hearings are going to be a nightmare for Harriet, the poor thing. Those senators will make her wish she had never agreed to accept the nomination. She's a fine church lady, but not Supreme Court material, and if Bush was really her friend, he would not have put her in this embarrassing position. Charles in Illinois, Harriet redoing her questionnaire is just a preview of what she'll do to Roe v. Wade. And Nani in Sunrise, Florida, no need for Harriet to fill out the questionnaire again. Just tell her to write across the page in big letters, "You're the best Senate ever."
Our viewers, they have a great sense of humor. Jack, thanks very much.
It's a good group. We got the bright ones out of reform school for today's program.
We certainly did. Jack, we'll get back to you soon. It's 5 p.m. here in Washington. You're in the Situation Room, where news and information from around the world arrive in one place at the same time. Happening now. 5 p.m. in South Florida. They're bracing for Wilma. It's a Category 4 hurricane. It's lashing the Caribbean right now, getting close to Mexico. We'll have a new forecast. The details of the new forecast, you just heard it from the National Hurricane Center. And it's 5 p.m. on Capitol Hill, where FEMA is under fire in response to Hurricane Katrina. Surprising testimony from a local official revealing just how disconnected top FEMA officials were from the horror unfolding in New Orleans. And it's 2 p.m. in California, Sierra Nevada, where hikers have made a shocking discovery. A body frozen in ice, believed to be a missing World War II-era pilot. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. As you saw live right here in the Situation Room, there's a new forecast just out from the National Hurricane Center, a new forecast for Hurricane Wilma. And we're hearing the Yucatan Peninsula is feeling the force of the hurricane right now. Let's go back to our severe weather expert, our meteorologist, Chad Myers. He's at the CNN Hurricane Center. For our viewers, Chad, who are just tuning in right now, update them on what we know.
We think and we know the storm has slowed down a little bit. At least the computers are slowing it down. We think that I believe that this storm probably now won't make landfall until late Sunday night into Monday. But we're already seeing rain here, Key West, all the way through Big Pine Key. Yes, this is part of the hurricane. There's the hurricane itself, some of the outer bands, the outer arms already reaching central and southern Florida. Here is the radar picture, though. This is an amazing shot out of Cozumel. Cancun, Cozumel. There's the island right there, Cozumel, if you've ever gone diving, all along the reef right through here. There's Cancun itself. The island part that we know usually Americans go to, that's a big number 7. Already feeling rain on the 7, on the international part, if you will. The local part downtown, not feeling too much. Just got off the phone with somebody in Akumal down here. They're already feeling some flooding as the winds are piling water on shore. And oh, Wolf, this is just starting. This is just going to be ugly down here.
What else did that guy on the phone say to you?
They weren't going to stay there very much longer. The waves were already crashing over the shore, about 5 inches of water in the streets. And what I was telling is that he needed to get out pretty soon, because as soon as you start losing streets, then you can't get out. And he was right on the ocean, so he was on his way.
All the projections that Max Mayfield was talking about, they differ on when they will wind up along the East Coast. Yeah. But right now, I take it all of them still, the major ones show South Florida being hit.
Yes, you know, it's kind of like add it all up and divide by 13, because there are almost 13 models. Some of them are older, some of them are newer, and a lot of the newer ones we give more credence to, so we give a little bit of a higher number for them, a little bit more of confidence in some of those numbers. Some of those later, let's say 2002 through 2005 models, where the 1998 model doesn't usually work very well, but they all take it now pretty close to somewhere right over the Everglades, south of Naples, and then on out to the other side. But, you know, I want to stress, that's still almost 5 days away. This thing could still go left or right. Just don't focus on that line.
I've got some friends on the east coast of Florida, whether in Palm Beach or in Boca Raton or Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and they seem to think that because it's going to hit in the west first, they're in good shape. They don't have to worry about this.
They're not going to see a storm surge there, Wolf. The water's not going to come piling up and coming over the top like we saw in Bay St. Louis and Waveland. But the area here will see winds out of the south, winds that could be 120 miles per hour. And then that storm, as it drives over them, especially if you're very close to the eye, your winds may shift 180 degrees, and then the winds will come back offshore again. And there will be wind damage across South Florida, even though they don't get the direct side of the eye. They get it from the back way, or from the wrong way, if you will. They're definitely going to see damage down there one way or the other.
All right, Chad, thanks very much. We'll check back with you. Let's go to the phone right now. Leticia Cordova, the woman that Chad just spoke with, is a resident in Akumal in Mexico. She's decided to evacuate. Leticia, where are you right now?
I'm in my home. This is in Akumal. It's the first lot on the way to Cancun. I am on the way to Yalcu.
And what has already happened? What has happened at your home?
The thing is that the ocean is quite grave, and there was a big wave with stones and everything. And since I know that this is going to be increasing till 8 p.m. tonight, I thought that I should evacuate. I was thinking of staying, but I'm afraid that this is going to grow.
How do you evacuate? Where do you go to, Leticia?
I'm going south. I'm going to Carrillo Puerto, which is south and a little bit into the Zona Maya.
I want to bring our meteorologist, Chad Myers, into this conversation because he knows specific information that's going to affect you, your family, your friends, your life potentially out there. Chad, what advice do you have for Leticia?
Well, the farther west you can go, the better you are, because to go south doesn't help you very much. You're only trying to get closer to the eye wall. To go east or to go west, a completely different scenario. If you go west toward Progreso, that would be the safest spot probably in the entire Yucatan Peninsula right now. But I must have been talking to a neighbor of yours just a moment ago. A young man said that they haven't even heard very much about this storm. He didn't even know it was going to get this bad until the waves, that maybe the one that you talked about, hit the shore. Is there no news?
Yes, there's been lots of news, but very contradictory information, if I may say. There's no, what they are saying is that the hurricane is acting very unexpectedly, and it has changed direction all day, and it has been sort of moving, and it really has been very different from any other year. I've been living here for 30 years.
Leticia, it's Wolf Blitzer in Washington once again. Are you just planning on getting into a car and driving, or are there trains or buses or planes?
No.
How do you get
driving. There's no trains or buses here.
So you're just going to get into your car and try to close up your house and start driving?
Drive south.
South. Is that smart?
Southwest.
Southwest.
Like going a little bit into our inland.
Leticia, what city do you want to wind up in, and how long do you think it will take you? What?
Carrillo Puerto.
Are you familiar, Chad, with that area?
Yeah, sure.
How far inland is that? You said it might be about an hour, hour and a half drive, but how far are you away?
South, but inland, I wouldn't know in kilometers, really, but it's not on the coast.
It is not on the coast?
No.
Right, that is where you want to be, Wolf. You want to move away from the coast and move inland.
30 kilometers in.
Okay.
All right. Leticia, one final question. Did you say you already are getting some flooding in your house?
Yes, we had a big wave, and as I said, I've been living here for 30 years. I've never seen, I was here in Roxana, I was here in Emily, and never the stones, the sea, yes, but not the stones in my terrace like this.
All right,
Wolf,
Leticia. Yeah, Chad, go ahead.
Well, if at some point that ferry that takes people off of Cozumel and back over toward Playa del Carmen is going to have to shut down because of the waves, and if you are in that area, if you're a tourist, if you're a local in that area, I do highly recommend getting off of Cozumel, getting onto the mainland, and doing exactly what she is doing, getting away from the coast itself, because that's where the winds and the waves will be the worst. The waves and the winds at probably the 7 at the International Drive of Cancun may approach 150 miles per hour. I doubt there will be very many windows left in that hotel zone of Cancun, the part that we all know as all that tourist destination down there.
All right, Chad, thank you very much. Leticia Cordova, thank you to you as well. Good luck to you and all your friends, everyone over there in Cozumel. Appreciate your joining us, and we'll check back. We'll check back with you.
For caring. Take care of yourself.
We certainly do care. Hurricane Wilma is also threatening Cuba. 500,000 Cubans are now evacuating from the westernmost provinces. Let's bring back CNN's Havana Bureau Chief Lucia Newman. It's beginning to get windy in Havana, Lucia.
Yes, as you can see, Wolf. Well, let me tell you what people are doing here to prepare. The word here is evacuation. That is the name of the game here. Massive evacuations, as you mentioned. Even before we know for sure just how close Hurricane Wilma is going to get to this island. But authorities here are taking absolutely no precautions, because at the very least we can expect torrential rain to pound this island, and as we know, that could cause deadly flooding and mudslides. We went to a coastal town to see how people were preparing there, Wolf. Hurricane-weary Cubans are at it again, packing up their things while they wait to be bused to higher ground. I pack everything in a government container, picks it up and stores it while we're evacuated to a school, says this man. Batabano, a low-lying fishing town in southwestern Cuba, is extremely vulnerable to storm surges and flooding. The water has come up to my chest in the past, and everyone is scared because this is a very big hurricane, says this woman. Prisoners from the local jail, too, are being moved to higher ground. In the remote fishing town of La Coloma, more than 100,000 people have already been evacuated, taken in buses to government shelters or to the homes of friends and relatives. The important thing is to save lives, so we're moving everyone out, says this civil defense official. In fact, the entire Pinar del Rio province is expected to be hardest hit by Hurricane Wilma. It's famous for the tobacco used to make Cuban cigars, and workers are doing everything that they can to keep their harvested crop dry. The old, the sick, and pregnant women are being evacuated first. Officials say at least 500,000 people will be evacuated from their homes in advance of this storm. And one of the reasons is that so many of their homes, especially here in Havana, are falling apart. Many government buildings and hotels are being boarded up. But in a country where wood and even nails are almost impossible to find, very few ordinary citizens have this luxury. In the meantime, Cubans are stocking up on dry food and water, praying that the third hurricane to impact this island this season will be merciful. As you can see, Wolf, right now it's cloudy but raining only sporadically, but meteorologists say the weather will begin to deteriorate rapidly starting tonight and tomorrow, Wolf.
Have the people of Cuba heard from President Fidel Castro yet, Lucia?
Not yet, but I'm standing here on 23rd Street. What you see behind me is Cuban state television, which has been boarded up as well. And the streets are being surrounded by police, so it's possible that right now President Castro is making his way over to Cuban TV to make some sort of an address. But that's only speculation at this point, Wolf.
All right, Lucia. Lucia Newman's our bureau chief in Havana. Good luck to you. Good luck to everyone in Cuba right now. Thank you very much. Let's check back with Jack Cafferty. He's in New York. We haven't heard from Fidel yet, but we're hearing from Jack.
I wonder what they were doing with those detainees down at Guantanamo. Did she say anything about that?
No, she didn't say anything. I assume they're not going to be intense, though.
Well, no, I don't guess they would be. I think they got them in some kind of compound with wire fences around them. But I just wonder, I was just curious. I don't know the geography that well, whether that particular encampment would be in the eye of the hurricane. But we'll find out at some point, I'm sure. Pro basketball players, Wolf, are going to have to say goodbye to the bling. The NBA announcing a new dress code that will require players to wear business casual attire when they're involved in team or league business, things like post-game press conferences. They also will not be allowed to wear chains, pendants, medallions, or automobile hubcaps around their necks. It's a stark contrast to the hip-hop gear that a lot of the players, like Philadelphia's Allen Iverson, who has his own fashion line, like to wear. Some of the players don't like it. They say that it targets young black males. They say the league is afraid of becoming too hip-hop. But NBA Commissioner David Stern said that they will strictly enforce the new dress code starting November 1st, and those that don't like it can leave. So here's the question, is the NBA out of line, requiring a dress code for its players? Cafferty File, CNN.com. We'll read some answers in about a half an hour. Wolf?
All right, I'm anxious to hear what our viewers have to think. You know, I'm a season ticket holder for the Washington Wizards.
Are they any good? Michael Jordan played with them. Didn't he own a piece of that team?
No, he didn't own it. Yeah, a little bit, but he played with them. Didn't do very well with the Wizards. Did a lot better with the Chicago Bulls.
How did they do last year, the Wizards?
The Wizards did well. They made it to the playoffs, first time in a long time. They're going to do even better this year.
Did they raise your ticket prices?
No.
Oh, well, they will.
But they're expensive.
Okay.
Thanks, Jack. Still ahead. From your hurricane headquarters, the popular Mexican resort of Cancun in Wilma's Way. Are tourists fleeing right now? Are there some of them still having some fun? We'll go there live. We'll ask the owner of a local hotel. And the FEMA response to Katrina continues. Emails adding to the embarrassment of the former FEMA director, Mike Brown. And later, a real-life CSI mystery. 60 years in the making, though, a frozen body found. But is the case closed? You're in the Situation Room.
David and Kathy just built a beautiful new home right at the water's edge.
I'll tell you the real story. I I've been a professor at a local university since I was 28, and my husband's been at it longer than I have. You don't build a big nest egg on a couple of teacher salaries. You need a plan and a financial consultant who isn't afraid to roll up his sleeves.
Smith Barney, this is who we are. This is how we earn it.
The nation's top critics are raving about Good Night and Good Luck. Rolling Stone calls it an electrifying movie event. The New York Times says, see it now. And Newsweek declares one of the best movies of the year. Good Night and Good Luck. Rated PG. Now playing select cities.
The White Sox represent the common man. It's old school and new school, and we bring it all together, and we make the 2005 White Sox the best team in the league.
Oh, there's a celebration at the plate.
I live for this.
Watch the World Series on Fox. Don't miss it.
Sometimes my burdens get so heavy, and it seems too hard to bear. Sometimes I feel so empty, and the pain is getting old. And you know the rain won't last forever.
Two journalists, 2 hours, 2 ways to see the story. Every night at 10, Newsnight. Aaron Brown, Anderson Cooper, CNN Tonight, 10 East.
Building a classic machine, stitching the stars and stripes. These are just a few of the jobs held by proud American craftsmen. So join me as I ramble around this great country of ours, talking to the people who put their hearts every day into a little label called Made in America.
John Ratzenberger's Made in America, Tuesdays at 9 on the Travel Channel.
Come discover the Clark County Fall RV Show, October 20th through 23rd at the new Exhibition Center at the Clark County Fairgrounds.
The male desert tortoise is likely the slowest of all tortoises, moving a mere 2 feet each minute. These landmarks have the
The internet doesn't have to be slow. Music, photos, everything downloads way faster than DSL with Comcast high-speed internet. It's Comcastic.
When the weather is the news, trust CNN. It's essential.
More now on our top story. It's still a Category 4 storm. Hurricane Wilma heading toward Florida. Let's get some more details now on the preparations in South Florida. For that, we're joined on the phone by Carlos Alvarez. He's the mayor of Miami-Dade County. Mayor, thanks very much for joining us. What are you doing to get ready?
Well, we've since yesterday we've been monitoring obviously the storm, and we've been making plans. We've been making sure that all the residents in Miami-Dade County are aware of what's going on, so that they can make the proper plans and preparations. This is a very dangerous storm. It hasn't started its turn towards the northeast, but it's expected to, and we're just telling people to make sure that everybody's prepared.
You have a lot of elderly people living in Miami-Dade County. What specifically should they be doing right now, assuming that you lose power and other inconveniences at a minimum like that?
Well, we have special needs shelters, and we have a registry of people that need, obviously, special needs. And what we've done is, starting last night, we've been contacting them, and if need be, we provide transportation to the special needs shelters or to hospitals or to wherever they may have to go. We started last night. The process is ongoing. And the storm is going so slowly that it's given us extra time to prepare.
Well, good luck, Mayor, and good luck to everyone in Miami-Dade County and Florida in general. Thanks very much for joining us. Hurricane Wilma could put the Federal Emergency Management Agency back in the spotlight, even as it's still coming under some serious fire for the slow response to Hurricane Katrina. CNN's Brian Todd joining us now live from outside FEMA headquarters here in Washington. Brian?
Wolf, in these days before Hurricane Wilma, as you said, this agency is battling, and it is battling on 2 fronts. It is trying to scramble to get ready for yet another major storm, and it is still fighting a tide of negative publicity.
If you see something coming for me, just scream at me, all right?
The irony of a Category 5 season.
On the same day, a FEMA official testifies before the Senate about the nightmarish response to Hurricane Katrina.
Each day it was a battle to find enough food and water to get to the Superdome.
The besieged agency is preparing for the third hurricane in less than 8 weeks to have reached Category 5 strength and is already dealing with what may become a perception challenge during and after Hurricane Wilma.
Proof's in the pudding. We did very well with Hurricane Ophelia. We did very well with Hurricane Rita. And we are going to do very well with this hurricane.
FEMA is sending some 300 truckloads of ice and water to staging areas in Florida, dozens of trucks full of prepackaged meals, 4 urban search and rescue teams, and at least 6 disaster medical assistance units. This adds up to more than 200 FEMA personnel on the ground in Florida before the storm. But it's less than what FEMA had in the Gulf region prior to Hurricane Katrina. FEMA officials say that's because the state of Florida is so well experienced in preparedness and response that Florida officials are not asking for as much federal help as their counterparts in other states. Governor Jeb Bush spoke of his reasons for wanting to take the lead.
If this process is federalized, the innovation, the creativity, the sense of responsibility, the passion for service would subside, and the local knowledge that makes it more effective.
FEMA officials tell CNN, even with more resources in the Gulf region after Katrina, their teams were quickly overwhelmed with transportation and communication problems. There have been lessons learned.
That person on the ground, that individual citizen or resident, that's the most important thing. That's not me, it's not the FEMA people working, it's those people on the ground, and that's the philosophy we're taking. What would you do if that's your family out there?
Now, this time, FEMA officials say they began speaking with state officials several days earlier than they did before Hurricane Katrina. Another difference, military helicopters will be ready for search and rescue if and when Wilma hits. Now, FEMA will be the agency coordinating deployment of those helicopters, but only if the state asks FEMA first. Wolf.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Brian Todd is outside FEMA headquarters here in Washington. Coming up, look at this. Check this out. Live pictures coming in via video phone from Cancun, Mexico. They're already feeling the effects of Hurricane Wilma. It's probably going to get a lot worse over there. We'll take you there. And that's coming up next. Also, if you thought you'd heard everything about the former FEMA director's failures, think again. Mike Brown's email embarrassment, that's coming up as well. And tracking Wilma with space technology. NASA's severe weather meteorologist will give us his take on the latest hurricane to threaten the United States. We'll be right back.
Hey, Fred, Oh, don't tell me. We need a whole new storage solution, need more capacity, better security. Ken wants recommendations on his desk ASAP.
How'd you do that?
I got the same email you did. I already called CDW. I took care of it.
Nobody responds like CDW. With great technology like the HP ProLiant BL20P G3 servers, powered by Intel Xeon processors. CDW, great technology right away.
How can one company help create stronger, lighter, safer, quieter vehicles and support research into new energy sources to run them? By using the right chemistry. Improving the things we all need is a great journey. And it's ours. Dow. Living improved daily.
The first words on the moon were spoken into a Plantronics headset.
See you coming down the ladder now.
But the question remains, what if our headset wasn't there?
That's one small step for man, one giant hawk. Are you there?
Now Plantronics makes wireless headsets for everyone. Plantronics. Sound innovation.
A lesson for parents about the power of your cable remote. Yes, you can surf the channels with it. But did you know? The cable remote can help control what your children watch. It's pretty easy. First hit Menu or Settings, then scroll through the on-screen options to set your password. Finally, block the programming by channel or rating. And talk to your children about why certain programs are not for them. Set your parental controls. It's easy. For more details on parental controls and tools, go to controlyourtv.org.
Hey, toilet here. Yes.
Thank you. Please stop the running. Not just the old handle jiggle. It's the oldest trick in the book. Still running. Running like a guy who runs a lot.
And verify
Tim,
that the amount being
you got a broken toilet on line 2? Please pick up.
And then remove all the water from the tank. Don't tighten the screw up too tight or you'll crack the porcelain.
Okay. Thanks, Tim. And don't forget to fix that chair.
Ace, the helpful place.
With Cancun, Mexico lying in Hurricane Wilma's probable path, many people already getting out, but not my next guest. She's staying put, at least she says so, even offering some snorkeling tours. Today, we got some live pictures coming in from Cancun. Kimberly Howell is the owner of the Cancun Mermaid Hotel. She's joining us on the phone once again. Kimberly, we spoke a couple hours ago. It wasn't too bad, but what has changed?
Hi, Wolf. How you doing? It's really changed quite a bit. The gusts are coming up very intense. I'd say probably around at least 40 miles an hour. Still not much rain, a little drizzle here and there, but the local news is reporting in Playa del Carmen, which is a little south of us, just pouring there. So they're already really receiving some effects. We're just, I'm guessing, getting the outer bands here at this point. But the hotel strip is completely blocked off. The local police and the military are not allowing anybody to go in, regardless of what reason, and all the hotels are completely evacuated.
Hold on one second, Kimberly. Our meteorologist, Chad Myers, is with us as well. Chad, how fast are those winds in Cancun right now?
Right now in Cancun and Cozumel, 30, gusting to 45. So she's right on the money on where the winds are now, and they're headed to 145 to 150.
Kimberly, 145, 150 mile an hour winds. Where you are, evacuation sounds like a good idea to me.
Well, I'll tell you, it's amazing the way people are preparing. And like, for instance, in my neighborhood, right on the corner, there's a Chevrolet dealership, huge plate glass windows. They haven't covered them at all. And then there are other people who are, I guess there's no such thing as over-preparing, but certainly, boarding up and all of that. So it's one extreme or the other. But the locals, I think it's been so long, we've had so many hurricanes bounce around us that I think they have a false sense of security. And I think that there's no doubt this is going to be completely different.
What about you? Are you going to still stay put? Because I take it the military, the authorities are making plans to try to evacuate people.
Well, this is actually strictly just in the hotel zone itself. They have a curfew going on that starts at 6 p.m. this evening, where they're asking people to not leave their homes, of course. But they're really not encouraging the locals to leave. Now, the downtown area is completely, it's off the coastline, but it certainly doesn't just represent, immediate safety. I mean, we need to be very careful.
We're showing our viewers some pictures of how exposed people in Cozumel are. Chad, talk a little bit about this whole area. It looks so vulnerable to me.
Yeah, what you're seeing, basically, the backwards 7 there, where you can see the top of the 7 and then all the way down the side. It's called the hotel zone. Up on the top, there's a couple of hotels, and all the way sliding all the way down to Club Med. There are hotels all along this beach. Now, I was just logged on to a couple of webcams, and I'm still seeing people on the beach in the hotel zone. Are they getting them out? Are they trying to get them out? Are people not wanting to leave? What's going on there?
Is that question for me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can only, guess that they're just not very bright because they're not going to come down and physically take you and put you on the bus and make you leave.
Is that right?
Well, yeah, this is Mexico, and it's just, that's the way it is. I mean, you're highly urged to get out of there, but, if they're stupid enough to be down on the beach, I mean, come on.
Kimberly Howell, good luck to you. We'll check back with you. Chad, thanks to you as well. We're always going to be checking back with Chad. He's going to be very, very busy in the coming hours and days. Preparations for Hurricane Wilma underway in southern Florida, including Key West, throughout the Keys, elsewhere. Ali Velci has got the bottom line. He's joining us from New York. Ali?
Same story there. I'm talking to a small business owner at the corner of Duval Street and South Street in Key West. That's the southernmost hotel, called the southernmost hotel because it's the southernmost hotel in the United States. Matt Babbage, you on the phone with me? We got Matt there?
Yes.
Hi, Matt. Ali Velci, we were just talking to somebody in Cancun who's sticking with it, going to ride this thing out. It's a little further from you. What's your plan right now? Your hotel still has visitors, guests in it?
Yes, we were a property of 194 rooms, and we have 4 rooms occupied tonight. On Wednesday, there was a mandatory evacuation of all non-residents and guests to the Florida Keys, and we heeded that. And most of the people left yesterday, but we did allow people to stay overnight for those who did have flights out today and had other plans. And we still have 4 guests left tonight.
You sticking around? You going to ride this thing out, or is there some point you're going to make a decision that if it starts heading your way, you're ready to evacuate?
I'm at this point, from the information I've been getting from the National Hurricane Center website and from our local authorities, we don't believe we're going to be in for the big Category 4 or 5 that is now approaching Cancun. And, you know, we've had 3 hurricanes give us a whip this year, and we've had winds up to 90, 110 miles an hour, and I've been here for all of those. So if it's a 1, 2, or 3, I do plan on staying here.
And you've had this before. We're looking at pictures of your hotel right now. Just tell us, for those of us who don't know Key West very well, where you are in relation to Key West.
Okay, we are at the south end of the island, the south end of Duval Street. We're 1 block from the southernmost point in the continental USA. So we are at the very southern tip of the Florida Keys and Key West, and we're at the southern tip of Key West also.
Matt, stay safe. Keep us posted as to what you're doing, and batten down the hatches there.
We've done a lot of preparation, and the employees and staff here, housekeeping, maintenance, front desk, reservations have all done a great job putting the sandbags up and putting the storm panels up. We've, I guess, because we've had so many scares, we've got this down to a very good routine, which used to take us 4 or 5 days, is now taking us 2.5. And I must say, we've gotten, since we've been hit a few times, we're also, prepared for the recovery. We got front-end loaders and dumpsters and things ready to get us back, and we've gotten our recovery down to a couple, 3 days also. And, I guess Key West, we've always prided ourselves in our ability to recover from a blowout. So,
and to be prepared for it. Keep that webcam going. We'll check in with you later. Matt Babbage is the owner of the southernmost hotel at the corner of Duval and South Street in Key West, probably the southernmost hotel in the United States, Wolf.
I think it probably is. Thanks, Ali, very much. Coming up, watching Wilma from NASA's Space Flight Center. The space agency's hurricane expert shares his unique views of this powerful storm. And a mystery on ice. Who's the airman found frozen decades after his death? A challenging coroner's case. You're in the Situation Room.
The Bottom Line is sponsored by Verizon Wireless. Now you can watch the latest news clips from CNN on the go with VCast from Verizon Wireless. It's broadband quality video right on your phone. Log on to money.com/smallbiz for more on the issues facing small businesses.
Lots of Wi-Fi users work in coffee shops, which aren't always the best places to work. Wouldn't it be great to work wherever you wanted instead of only in hotspots? Now you can with Verizon Wireless Broadband Access. Wi-Fi only works in limited locations, while Broadband Access is the nation's largest high-speed wireless broadband network and is expanding coast to coast. Now get unlimited access at a great price, so you won't get stuck in a not-so-hot spot. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you.
Congress chartered Freddie Mac 35 years ago to make mortgage money available so lenders can make more home loans. Our mission? Help keep mortgage rates stable and low. It's working. Freddie Mac has helped over 44 million families own their own home. It's the most important investment millions of Americans ever make. Some people call it a nest egg. Most people just call it home. Freddie Mac. We make home possible.
We're now on Hurricane Wilma. Jeff Halverson is a severe weather meteorologist for NASA. He's joining us live from the agency's Goddard Space Flight Center in Beltsville, Maryland. That's right outside the nation's capital. Jeff, this seems to like such an unpredictable storm, if you will. What's going on?
This storm has been amazing. You know, it underwent this rapid intensification, almost 100 millibar pressure drop in a day, and that's almost unprecedented. We can see here the dramatic swirl. If you could look through the clouds with X-ray vision or take a CAT scan, just look at the fantastic spirals of rain wrapping around this system. You know, the pressure on the bottom of this storm is about 10% less than the overall weight of the entire atmosphere. So that's a big hole in the atmosphere that wind has to rush into.
What does that mean to the layperson?
Well, it means to the layperson this is nothing short of a catastrophic storm, particularly for Yucatan. This is a record-setting storm in terms of its pressure in the Atlantic, and there's a tremendous amount of energy being released in this system. The Gulf waters are very warm. There's very little in the way of wind shear or destructive winds to tear this storm apart. in the next day or two. Really nothing to impede its recovery from the eye wall replacement it went through this morning.
What's different between this hurricane and, shall we say, Katrina? Our viewers very familiar with what Katrina did. What's the difference between these two hurricanes?
Well, as I say, they're both amazing systems. They're both Category 5 storms. They're both encountering very warm water over the Gulf. This system had a very tiny eye. At one point, this system had an eye that was only about 5 miles in diameter compared to Katrina, which had a much larger eye. But now that eye has opened up, it's weakened somewhat, but now we think it's bouncing back.
So what's your bottom line assessment? How worried should people in Florida be right now?
Well, I'd say we have to, defer to the judgment of the Hurricane Prediction Center, but certainly it's a monster storm that bears watching. There's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to intensity change. You look at the graphic here, look at the temperature of the ocean waters it has to still go over. So there's a tremendous potential here for a strong category storm, certainly for the Yucatan and possibly South Florida as well.
Jeff Halverson, we'd like to have you back in the coming days to help us better understand this hurricane. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And still to come, it sounds like a science fiction novel, but it's a very real mystery. A man's frozen body found in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Who is he? We'll have details. And NBA players crying foul. The league is setting a new dress code of more business wear and less, shall we call it, bling. What do you think about that? Jack Cafferty has your email. Stay with us.
What if everyone just settled for average? What if nobody raised the bar? What if everyone decided to let someone else figure it out? By investing in Russia's oil and natural gas reserves, the world's second largest, ConocoPhillips is helping ensure global energy production for decades to come. Turning what ifs into what's next is just another way we elevate.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Davis.
Eric the intern, what's the pick of the week?
Hey guys. Shooting the thing with Davis. Davis, right now get a sweet Dell Inspiron 6000 notebook with an Intel Pentium M processor for $7.99. Other notebooks start at $4.99. It's great for when I'm out hanging with my friends. Hey guys. It's not nice.
Closed captioning provided by Head On PM, a new pain reliever sleep aid applied directly to the forehead.
Head On, introducing a new headache treatment applied directly to the forehead. How fast do you want relief from your headaches and migraines? Head On. It's safe and it really works. In stores now.
Even as the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, bracing for Hurricane Wilma, it's still facing criticism over the agency's response to Hurricane Katrina. CNN's Kathleen Koch is joining us here in the Situation Room with details of what we learned today at a congressional hearing. Kathleen?
Wolf, it was chilling testimony from the man who is literally the only FEMA official pre-positioned in the entire city of New Orleans. Marty Bamunde's job was to be the agency's eyes and ears there, but he says it seemed like no one on the other end was listening. As Hurricane Katrina roared in, FEMA career employee Marty Bamunde told senators he sounded the alarm in New Orleans, asking for more staff, calling FEMA at 11 a.m. Monday to say the worst-case scenario had happened. The levees had broken.
FEMA headquarters knew at 11 o'clock. Mike Brown knew at 7 o'clock. Most of FEMA's operational staff knew by 9 o'clock that evening. And I don't know where that information went.
Bamunde says he waded to the Superdome, found little food there, little water. Stunned, he watched as thousands more were bussed in.
Just doubled the population and really took a bad situation and made it so much worse when you had options to just drive them out of the city across the bridge.
Bamunde sent an email to FEMA Director Michael Brown Wednesday morning. Hotels are kicking people out, thousands gathering in the street with no food or water, hundreds still being rescued from homes. Estimates are many will die within hours. It's unclear whether he got a response. Hours later, Bamunde was forwarded this email from Brown's press secretary in Baton Rouge. It's important the time is allowed for Mr. Brown to eat dinner. Given that Baton Rouge is back to normal, restaurants are getting busy. He needs much more than 20 or 30 minutes. An exasperated Bamunde responds, tell her that I just ate an MRE and went to the bathroom in the hallway of the Superdome, along with 30,000 other close friends, so I understand her concern about busy restaurants. Brown hasn't replied to our request for a response, and FEMA's new director praised Bamunde as dedicated, hardworking, and said that the agency has improved since Katrina, Wolf.
We hope. We'll soon find out how they do with Wilma. Thanks very much. Kathleen Koch reporting. Up next, many NBA players have millions in the bank, so you'd think they'd be able to decide what to wear on their own, but the league is handing down some fashion do's and don'ts. Jack Cafferty standing by with your thoughts. And a frozen body, likely decades old, found in the Sierra Nevada mountains. But who is he? Mary Snow has a report. Stay with us.
Lots of Wi-Fi users work in coffee shops, which aren't always the best places to work. Wouldn't it be great to work wherever you wanted instead of only in hotspots? Now you can with Verizon Wireless Broadband Access. Wi-Fi only works in limited locations, while Broadband Access is the nation's largest high-speed wireless broadband network and is expanding coast to coast. Now get unlimited access at a great price, so you won't get stuck in a not-so-hot spot. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you.
Objective financial advice. It's right for any nest egg, regardless of size. A.G. Edwards. For 118 years, fully invested in our clients.
Every day, America's highly trained and skilled air traffic controllers guide thousands of planes safely. But now, FAA staffing cutbacks mean fewer air traffic controllers are handling more and more planes. Today, there are 1,000 fewer controllers than there were just 2 years ago. And that's a dangerous act. Call Congress at 1-877-FLY-US-SAFE. Tell them that when the FAA juggles staffing, it compromises safety.
Here in the Situation Room, we've checked Hurricane Wilma from just about every angle. But let's have one more. Our internet reporter, Jackie Schechner, is here in the Situation Room. She's checking the situation online with a little help from Google Earth.
I am. I'm trying to find my mouse, but I think I finally found it. It's much larger than the board I usually work with.
It's a big board here.
I want to take a look at what we've got. We've got some cool images here for you. We'll start with the wide image and move in for you. You can take a look at where we are with Hurricane Wilma right now. There you go. It's kind of a neat image for you. I wanted to give you some of the models we've been talking about. If I can zoom in for you. We've been talking about it heading across Florida. Your mother is there, and my mother is there as well, actually. So we're all interested and concerned. You can see how those models go across Florida. Then I wanted to show you, we've got some alternatives for you, some things we haven't seen before. We wanted to talk about the surface temperatures. I thought this was really neat. Now look at this. That color will tell you the temperature, and the dark pink color, from what I understand, we've got Celsius is what it's in. So like 35 is around where this dark pink color is. That's about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. You can see it's all around there. A little less than that, I guess, would be about 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees. What we mean when we talk about these warm temperatures, essentially, Wolf, is that when it's over warm water, as we know, it'll stay strong. We would hope for a cooler temperature this time of year, but not in the Gulf of Mexico, as you know. So if we can see the difference between this temperature, see if I can bring this back up for you, and what it might be over the next 3 days, you can kind of hope that maybe at some point it would weaken and get a little bit cooler, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. This temperature change right here means it's going to stay exactly the same. You can see the dark red part right there. Let me see if I can show you the temperatures over that. I don't know if you can overlay it or not. Probably not. But if you can see here where it's dark, if it were heading towards Louisiana, that would actually be a problem because it would be strengthening. Right, and it would get even stronger as it headed towards there. But you can see it's not going to change very much. So we're not talking about it getting any weaker as it moves through there. And there's one other thing we wanted to show you here. You can see the buoys that are out in the water. These are measuring things like wind speeds. You can see that's what the actual buoy looks like. And we can pull it back out for you a little bit. See if we can move this out. It's taking on a mind of its own. That's what happens with Google Earth sometimes. But you can see these buoys, and what they do is they measure the temperatures at these buoys. They also measure things like how high the swells are, the wind speeds. We heard Chad Myers talk earlier about it was 40 miles per hour in Cozumel. This buoy in particular, 66 miles per hour. So you can take an idea of what they're seeing on land and then what they're seeing out in the water, Wolf. So.
Jackie, all right, you did well.
My
Thanks.
first navigation
Thanks
with
very
Google
much.
Earth.
Very impressive. I couldn't do it. Jack Cafferty, I know, couldn't do that Google Earth stuff, but he's got some other stuff on his mind.
Easy on me. It's not nice to make fun of those who are of limited ability. The NBA, Wolf, announcing a dress code that's going to require their players to wear business casual attire when they're involved in either team or league business, such as post-game press conferences. They cannot wear chains or pendants over their clothes, no bling. Some of the players don't like it. They say it targets young black males. They say the league is afraid that it's becoming too hip-hop. The question this hour is the NBA out of line requiring a dress code for its players? Robert, in Charlotte, North Carolina, the NBA is a business, not a social program. All businesses should be able to have dress codes, whether it's a restaurant, a Wall Street firm, or a store in a mall. Businesses can demand and enforce dress codes based on the image they are attempting to portray. Tom, in Welcome, Minnesota, what difference does it make? They're like any other pro athletes. They do what they want, when they want. They make too much money. They have too much time on their hands. How will they be able to feed their families if they have to buy clothes to meet a dress code? Tommy in Atlanta, Georgia, you kidding me? Liquor advertised on cars and suits are okay for NASCAR, but it's not okay for a basketball player to wear a plain white T-shirt with a silver chain. I'd rather have my child wear a label-blazing Nike than Jack Daniels. Umar in Columbus, Ohio, the NBA has a responsibility to look out for its interests. Its image has been tarnished by a few players who are reckless both on and off the court. The business casual attire requirement is a good move and will hopefully put professional back in professional basketball. Vince in Michigan, I say get over it. I have to dress to represent my business in a professional manner, and I make nowhere near what these guys make. Just like your vocabulary, your dress is a reflection of you. I'm tired of hearing about things being racial. This is a business. Act like it. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. And Richard in Green Lawn, New York writes, I'd bark like a dog for an NBA contract. Me too.
Those contracts are pretty thick. Thanks very much, Jack. See you tomorrow. Still ahead, a mystery at 14,000 feet. The body of a man is found encased in ice, probably for 6 decades. Who is he? And is anyone still looking for him? Stay with us.
This week in history, fists were raised as Tommy Smith and John Carlos staged what they called a silent protest against U.S. racial discrimination during the 1968 Olympic victory celebration. Smith and Carlos, gold and bronze medalists in the 200 meters, wore black gloves as they bowed their heads during the American national anthem. In 1987, the world watched the rescue of 18-month-old baby Jessica, who was trapped in a well for 2 days. And in 1995, hundreds of thousands of African-American men gathered in Washington, D.C. for a rally called the Million Man March. And that is this week in history.
The HP Blade System server powered by Intel Xeon processors. Consolidation made easy.
CNN Tonight, an arrest in the shocking murder of a high-profile attorney's wife. The latest with Mark Garagos and more. Larry King Live, CNN Tonight, 9 Eastern.
Never plunge again. American Standard's new Champion flushing system with revolutionary flush tower technology. Only from American Standard.
I can't seem to find the book Into the Mist.
What if everyone had the same extraordinary service as Northwest Community Credit Union?
Sorry, we're all out, but we do have the author.
It was a cold, dark night.
Northwest Community Credit Union, where you're more than welcome. And where the rates are as extraordinary as the service.
Want a better job? Ready to make a move?
Start your search for a better local job right now at PortlandJobsFinder.com. That's where you'll find local employers that are searching for your talent, skills, and experience. PortlandJobsFinder.com is easy to use and totally free for job seekers. Log on now to view hundreds of detailed job listings, upload your resume, and find a better job today. PortlandJobsFinder.com. It's free for job seekers and good for business.
Comcast is
Originals.
Tune into HBO to catch Bob Costas with the latest sports issues and interviews on Costas Now. And don't miss the extraordinary drama of the new epic original series, Rome.
Whatever you're into.
It's on Comcast.
Serving the greater Portland area, we're Comcast.
Weather is the news. Trust CNN. It's essential.
Hurricane Wilma moving closer and closer toward Cancun in Mexico. We've got these live pictures via video phone. You can see the wind picking up rather dramatically over the past 2-3 hours as we've been watching these live pictures come in. Chad Myers is watching the pictures, and I assume people over there can only expect worse in the coming hours and days.
You bet. Right now, Wolf, there's a squall line coming in, one of the feeder bands, as we call it, coming in, and I'll show it to you on the Cancun radar. What I want to show you on here, we'll just go back to Weather 101. Follow the storm, follow the eye itself. All of a sudden, starting to turn right along the tape, and then, now it's a right-hand turn. We expected this turn for a long time. Now it's finally here as it moves away from the piece of tape there that I have on the board, which is just very simple, but it works. You know that it's headed on up toward Cozumel and now to Cancun. Here is the closer view, a large eye right now, but it's getting tighter, as Max Mayfield told us a little bit ago. That means the storm is getting stronger. The inner winds are getting stronger, and that's where the inner wind actually is right there, 150 miles per hour now. Why Cancun picked up in wind speed? Because this band, this squall line, is now coming through Cancun. It came through Cozumel just a few minutes ago. Winds gusted to 40. That's what we can expect in Cancun. And every time one of these outer bands gets closer, as the storm gets closer, the winds will pick up 10 miles per hour, 15 miles per hour. And by the time you get the eye wall, it's going to be probably close to a Category 5, which starts at 156 miles per hour, Wolf.
And Chad, closer to home in Florida, they now suspect this hurricane's going to take a little longer to get to Florida. They still think it will reach there eventually, but maybe not till Sunday, maybe even later. Is that what they're saying?
That is correct. It's going to spend a lot of time over the Yucatan Peninsula, which spells even worse problems here when it comes to flooding for the Yucatan. But then it does turn off toward the north and to the northeast and making landfall somewhere in Florida, possibly even missing Florida. It's still not out of the question, Wolf, that this storm goes through the Florida Straits and through the Bahamas. But seems unlikely, and that's not the official forecast. The official forecast is that line, but remember, it's not a line. It's more of like a fan than a cone or anything else like that. It's not really just that one point. And a hurricane that's 150 miles an hour is not going to be a point anywhere. It's like a big bowling ball coming over the south part of that state.
Chad Myers, thanks very much. Chad Myers reporting from the CNN Hurricane Headquarters. Moving on to another story we're following, a rather dramatic story. A 60-year-old mystery lies in the hands of the coroner in Fresno, California, waiting to be solved. A frozen body believed to be that of a World War II airman was discovered this weekend. Let's get some specific details. CNN's Mary Snow standing by. Mary?
Well, Wolf, the coroner's office in Fresno is working with the military to identify the remains, and it says it's already looking into one call from someone claiming to have information on who it might be. Packed in 460 pounds of ice, a body believed to be a World War II airman was moved from the Sierra Nevada mountains to the Fresno County Coroner's office. Park rangers say ice climbers discovered the remains Sunday in a glacier on a mountain more than 13,000 feet high. They say the climbers were able to see blonde hair, some clothing, and an important piece of identification.
The most remarkable thing was that there was a parachute on this individual, and it said U.S. Army on it.
Rangers say their first clue as to how old the remains are, the parachute was silk. And that was telling since those parachutes were switched to nylon several decades ago. A second clue, research showed that a navigational training plane crashed in the same area in 1942. But that plane's wreckage and 4 bodies were discovered in 1947.
We're not fully sure that this individuals associated with that plane, and it's only going to be through good science, a little patience and time, that we're going to be able to put all the pieces of this puzzle together and solve the mystery.
Now, the Joint Prisoner of War Accounting Office says it will be taking over the process of identification. It says it has the job of accounting for 88,000 missing military personnel, mostly from World War II. And it says, on average, it identifies about 2 remains each week. Wolf?
Do they have any idea who this person might be?
They actually say that they do have a short list of possibilities, and because there had been a crash in 1942, the remains found several years later, that may also help narrow their scope. But they say on average it takes about 5 months to identify remains. It could take that long.
Mary Snow reporting for us. Thanks very much. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Florida, no stranger to hurricanes. Bruce Morton standing by with a look back. We'll be right back.
All new at 7. Bad streets of the Big Easy. Anderson, live from New Orleans, on patrol with the NOPD. Plus, tracking the most powerful storm to ever hit the Atlantic. CNN Tonight, 7 Eastern.
The HP Blade System server powered by Intel Xeon processors. Consolidation made easy.
Protect your family with life insurance from Prudential.
Hey, Dad, what's life insurance?
Well, life insurance is something parents buy. So in case something happens to them, you kids will be okay.
Oh. Do we have life insurance?
Hurricane Wilma, it's moving closer and closer and closer toward Mexico right now. Cancun, Cozumel, the Yucatan Peninsula. It's getting windy out there. We've got some live pictures. We'll show you the live pictures coming in from Cancun right now. It's picked up dramatically only in the past couple hours. Winds now about 40 miles per hour. It's going to get a lot worse, though, as this slow-moving hurricane picks up speed, gets closer to Mexico, and then makes that right-hand turn toward Florida. Expected arrival in Florida someplace Sunday, maybe a little bit later than Sunday, but we're watching every step of the way. It's a Category 4 storm right now. It could pick up and become a Category 5 once again. Florida, as we all know, no stranger to hurricanes. Our national correspondent Bruce Morton picks up the story.
If you live in Florida, you remember hurricanes. Shielding the windows, loading stuff into the car, whatever. They do it a lot.
Betsy struck at the worst possible time.
Take just the last 4 decades. 1965 was Betsy, just a Category 3, winds up to 130 miles an hour, but it killed 75 people in southern Florida and Louisiana, and at today's prices did $10.8 billion in damage. 1972 Agnes, just a Category 1, maximum winds 95 miles an hour, but it killed 117 people from Florida to New York and caused $11.29 billion in damage. 1992 brought Andrew, a very big storm, Category 5, killed 23 people, destroyed more than 100,000 homes in southern Florida, Louisiana, and the Bahamas. The costliest hurricane in U.S. history back then at more than $43 billion. 1995 Hurricane Opal, Category 3, 130-mile-an-hour winds, killed 37 in the Florida Panhandle and Alabama. 2004 Hurricane Charlie killed 10 people in Florida and caused $20 billion in damage, the worst hurricane, those who rate them said, since Andrew. Also in 2004, Francis, 105-mile-an-hour winds, 7 deaths in Florida and Georgia, another $8.9 billion in damage, and the storm that caused the biggest evacuation in Florida history. Ivan and Jean followed in quick succession. And this year, Dennis, 145-mile-an-hour winds, 71 deaths in the U.S. and the Caribbean, damage estimated at between $5 and $9 billion. And then, of course, Katrina, which may turn out to have been the most expensive natural catastrophe in U.S. history. Katrina did most of its damage in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, but it caused 11 deaths in South Florida as well.
And now Wilma? There must be a lot of Floridians who wish this season would hurry up and end so they could go root for those other Hurricanes, the ones who play football for the University of Miami. Not this weekend, of course. Game's off because of Wilma. Bruce Morton, CNN, Washington.
That's it for me in the Situation Room. Lou Dobbs tonight starting right now. Lou standing by. Hi, Lou.
Thank you, Wolf. Good evening, everybody. We begin tonight with the extraordinary political battle that is raging tonight in Texas. It's a legal contest pitting a Travis County prosecutor against the former House Majority Leader. U.S. Congressman Tom DeLay today turned himself at a sheriff's office in Houston 1 day after a court issued an arrest warrant for him on conspiracy and money laundering charges. DeLay was photographed and fingerprinted and then released on a $10,000 bond. DeLay's attorney blasted Texas District Attorney Ronnie Earl, a Democrat, accusing Earl of singling out DeLay for political partisan retribution. Sean Caleb's reports now from Richmond, Texas on Tom DeLay's booking. Dana Bash reports from the White House on new developments in another scandal, the CIA White House investigation. And Bill Snyder in Washington reports on the rising public disillusionment with holders of elected office, particularly those members of Congress. We begin with Sean Caleb's in Richmond, Texas on the booking of Tom DeLay. Sean?
Well, really, Lou, an extraordinary day if you think about it. One of the most powerful Republicans in the United States today having his mugshot taken as well as being fingerprinted. It happened in the Harris County jail. Tom DeLay, as you mentioned, charged with conspiracy as well as money laundering. Austin Democrat Ronnie Earl is accusing DeLay of violating a 102-year-old Texas election code. Now, if it happened in Harris County, it begs the question, why are we here in Fort Bend County, Texas? Well, yesterday, DeLay and his attorney cut a deal with the sheriff here to quietly surrender, to undergo the booking process here. But while all the media gathered outside this jail, DeLay quietly walked inside the Harris County facility. Now think about that. This influential Republican walking in to be fingerprinted, undergoing this criminal procedure. But think about it all you want, because there are no pictures of this. Still, as Lou mentioned, DeLay's attorney is simply seething, saying this is all just a measure of partisan politics.
He wanted a mugshot so he could put it out to Congressman DeLay's political opponents, and he's got what he wanted. There's no reason for this. It was pure retaliation on the part of Ronnie Earl because we have not let him up, and we've exposed this prosecution for what it is. So there it is. Take a good look at it.
And Lou, today, DeGuerin was asked, what was the day like for Tom DeLay? His answer, a walk in the park. Lou?
Sean, a walk in the park. Tomorrow there will be not a walk in the park, but an appearance in court. What do we expect to happen?
Well, what we expect is DeLay and his attorney will be in Austin in the courthouse there. Basically a formality. They'll walk in, and DeLay will have a chance to hear the charges. He'll also have a chance to proclaim DeGuerin as his counsel. But the wild card there, the judge could also rule on some of the motions that are before the bench. Perhaps the most important, the defense, which is saying this case should simply be thrown out. Lou?
Thank you very much, Sean Caleb. You may have noticed that Congressman DeLay's so-called mugshot does not have a number on it, as do most. In Harris County, Texas, where DeLay was booked, they use digital cameras. Officials there tell us the number is recorded electronically. Although they were quick to add, not everyone smiles like Tom DeLay for the camera. The Tom DeLay charge is, of course, not the only political problem facing the Bush White House. The White House is also facing the possibility that at least one of its staff members could be indicted in the CIA White House leak scandal. Today it emerged that top presidential advisor Karl Rove may be pointing the finger at Vice President Cheney's chief of staff, Louis Scooter Libby. Dana Bash reports from the White House.
In the Rose Garden to talk Mideast peace, the president insisted he's not distracted by the slew of political problems coming at him at once.
There's some background noise here. A lot of chatter, a lot of speculation and opining. But the American people expect me to do my job, and I'm going to.
The biggest question is the special prosecutor investigating who leaked the classified identity of Valerie Plame about to indict anyone at the White House. New information about what top Bush aide Karl Rove told the grand jury added to the drama. Rove may have first learned Plame worked for the CIA from Cheney Chief of Staff Scooter Libby during a discussion about what they were hearing from reporters. According to an informed source sympathetic to Rove, that discussion took place before her name appeared in this column by Robert Novak, which outed Plame's covert identity. This further puts into question past White House statements neither Rove nor Libby had anything to do with the matter.
I spoke with those individuals, as I pointed out, and those individuals assured me they were not involved in this.
Rove's attorney insists he did not leak classified information, but experts warn Rove's account is just his perspective.
What the prosecutor is looking at are not exculpatory statements that Karl Rove may have given when he testified 4 times before the grand jury, but he's looking at other evidence that comes from other witnesses or other documentation.
And over 2 years, special counsel Patrick Fitzgerald has called dozens of witnesses from the White House to the CIA. But the public might never get a full accounting. Department of Justice guidelines do not call for a final report in such cases. And Attorney General Alberto Gonzales, who recused himself from any involvement, would not answer when asked by CNN if such a report is in the public interest.
I don't want to be viewed in any way in influencing one way or the other what Mr. Fitzgerald does in connection with this investigation.
And there are a lot of unanswered legal questions, but one of the most intriguing may be a political one, and that is, why is it that those close to Karl Rove are putting out his perspective, but those on Scooter Libby's side right now are stone silent, Lou?
Well, that is a central question with today's developments. The suggestion from those sources, obviously Karl Rove's sources, if you will. Is there any White House reaction, a presidential reaction to the fact that obviously someone is leaking now within the senior staff?
No, I mean, the White House has been absolutely no comment about this for months. But when it comes to this grand jury testimony about Karl Rove or anything else, that's something that is really up to the people who know it to put out. That's probably not what some people would like, particularly those of the prosecutor's office, but it's up to them to put out if they like to.
Absolutely, but this has to be, one would think, coming with the approval of the President of the United States.
Don't be so sure about that, Lou. I'm unclear about that. But when it comes to this particular issue at this point, my understanding right now is that they are very careful inside the White House not to talk to one another about their testimony or what goes on inside the grand jury.
Okay, Dana Bash, thank you very much, reporting from the White House. The president's nominee for the Supreme Court, Harriet Miers, tonight facing new questions and rising opposition on Capitol Hill. President Bush today declared that Miers will answer all questions about her qualifications for the job, as well as her legal philosophy. Miers again went to Capitol Hill today to meet with senators. Yesterday, the chairman and ranking Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee said Miers should revisit the answers she gave on a questionnaire from the committee because those answers are incomplete. The rising public skepticism about the Miers nomination, only one issue responsible for plummeting poll numbers for the president. But Congress's approval ratings, it should be pointed out, and emphatically so, are much lower. Voters appear to believe that members of Congress are increasingly out of touch with reality. Bill Snyder reports.
Tom DeLay is in trouble. DeLay's public image, 18% favorable, 45% unfavorable. Congress is in trouble, too. Congress's public image, 64% disapprove of the way Congress is doing its job. That's worse than DeLay. Only 29% give Congress a good job rating. That's the worst rating for Congress since 1994, when voters overthrew the Democratic majority in Congress after 40 years. Congress's problems are bigger than Tom DeLay. People are angry not just about indictments and investigations, but also about the direction of the country. Only 31% say they're satisfied with the way things are going in the country. 68% are dissatisfied. When's the last time Americans were that unhappy? Again, 1994, just before the overthrow of Congress. What are Americans so unhappy about? Scandals, mounting casualties in Iraq, the Katrina disaster, a huge budget deficit, the economy? Yes, even though economists say the economy's doing pretty well.
There's this
discrepancy between the opinion polls and what people are actually doing in shopping malls.
They're spending and they're worrying. Why?
I do think that it's quite plausible that if gasoline prices stay up, that at some point consumers will say, you know, this is a big bite into my take-home pay and I need to cut back on something else to make up for it.
2/3 of Americans expect gas prices to cause financial hardship for their families, and 2/3 say the federal government could do something about it. It's not happening, but what could be happening is another political revolution. Right now, when Americans are asked whether the country would be better off if Democrats or Republicans controlled Congress, Democrats have a 13-point edge. Halloween may be 10 days away, but there's a message here for Republicans. Be afraid. Be very afraid. But maybe not yet. The election is still a year away. If the numbers look this bad for Republicans next Halloween, then it gets pretty scary. Lou?
Bill, the numbers that you're reporting there are troubling, certainly for Republicans. They may be the product of a pure snapshot in time, but they also have to be extraordinarily hopeful for the Democrats. Why are the Democrats, at least in terms of who would be better to control Congress, doing so well?
Because they're not in control of Congress right now. They're the out party. So they're the alternative. Democrats aren't doing extraordinarily well. They've got a